Going live. Okay, welcome everyone. Chris is going to be filling in for Susan today and chairing our meeting.
Welcome everybody. Today is Wednesday, November 12th, 2025. This is the meeting of the Salem Public Art Commission. I'd like to call the meeting to order. My name is Chris Darcy. I'm the Vice Chair of the Commission. Let's do a roll call with our commissioners, starting with Brian.
Brian Hart, Commissioner.
Spencer Emmerich, Commissioner.
Crystal Lauer, Commissioner.
And then let's start with Carly and welcome our guests.
Carly Wright, Press Play Salem.
Good morning, Gretchen Bennett, and I'm acting in capacity Community Services Director here at the city.
Jennifer Keller, Parks and Rec Division Manager.
Carol Schneider, Student Parks Foundation President.
Linda Beerley, Salem Parks Foundation Treasurer.
I'm Kathleen Swarm, Staff Liaison.
Mark Weinstein, the legal department.
First on our agenda is public comment. Any public comments submitted, Kathleen?
None.
All right, I am looking for a motion of the consent agenda. I want, Kathleen, can you mention that we have ordered one item on the agenda and then we can approve that.
We will be moving the Eco Earth Globe renovation conversation up to the first item under B, consideration of unfinished business.
Who would like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda, the agenda for today and the minutes from our October meeting?
Yeah, I'll make a motion for that.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, moved by Brian, seconded by, I'll pick Spencer since there were two. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like there were no opposing votes. New business. We were approached by our former chair, Zach Hull, about a sculpture by a Portland artist named Bill Will, a wooden sculpture. You can see it on the screen. This piece is looking for a permanent home and owner, and would be available to, it's being offered to multiple entities for the cost of moving it on short notice before the end of the year and then paying for the installation. Did you all have a chance to take a look at this? Spencer, Krista, did you have a chance to take a look at this? I'm going to just open the floor for the commission to offer some comments. Oh, and welcome, Carl. Open the floor for comments about whether the city of Salem and SPAC in particular has interest in bringing this piece to Salem, and hopefully if you think that there's interest, where would this piece go? So I'll open that for Gretchen.
And I apologize for jumping ahead of commissioners, but as you're beginning the conversation, I wanted to ensure there was some awareness that our city council just directed staff to prepare a donation policy for the consideration of all donations that come into the city of Salem. And so folks are at work on preparing that policy that would come back to city council. And my understanding is we'll want to be sure to be in alignment with that. So I want to make you aware of that work in progress right now.
Do we need to wait before we accept a new donation or?
I'm gonna look at Mark to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I would. I don't know that we'd be in a position, but I also respect if there's a time sensitivity to this one. I think we're making quick work and intending to bring the policy back on Monday the 24th, if I'm not mistaken, of November. And so if we're lucky, it'll solidify that day, and so it may not hold you up, but I wanted you to be aware of that.
I appreciate that, and thank you for bringing that. Let's see if indeed there is interest in this work that would lead us to hold off making a decision.
Sounds
But
good.
thank you very much for putting that on the table.
I might offer you could also decide to make the decision to accept it pending any And presuming it's gonna be in alignment with the donation policy, I would presume it would be, and so you could make that decision today, and then things could just proceed more quickly, and apologies for the interruption.
Not a problem. All right, commission, let's have some comments. Who'd like to start?
I think, go for it, Brian.
I just had a question. I did see the piece. Was there in the write-up, like how much they're talking to move it?
Yeah.
To store it?
I think $3,500-ish.
Okay,
I would,
okay,
I'm assuming the piece is in the Portland area.
got it. I mean, my general thought on it is that I like it. I always want to stand more on it. It's a very kind of general statement. I think it's cool, but it is a bigger piece, it looks like, so yeah, the storage would be probably something we'd have to figure out.
Right, because we don't have storage.
We don't have storage and with the
And-
service modeled, we have less space than even some of our places right now to store art, so.
What about other
Uh,
commissioners?
I'm in alignment with Brian. It'd be interesting to see it down here. My first thought would be City Hall, but my first thought would be outside, but it looks like an inside piece.
I think the artist has indicated the fact that the piece could be sited outdoors, it would be something that would disintegrate if left outdoors over time. So it would be there, that could happen in public art situations where it's intentional for that to happen. And were there a park site that, was appropriate where the city wanted to deal with a piece of art that was going to disintegrate over time, that could happen. Well, I will jump in and just say, on the upside, Bill Will is he's a very reputable sculptor. He's been represented by a major gallery in Portland. This piece was probably prepared for an exhibition, not for a specific site. It, I don't know how heavy it is. It would require a pretty substantial interior space. Carl and I have been a part of a subcommittee that's been looking at the civic center options for public art when the 0.5% kicks in because of the seismic improvement. So we've been in and out of the civic center with the architects and with Howard S. Wright a few times. That's on the agenda for this meeting. Right now, the civic center there really isn't an option for something like this at the civic center. Let's just put it that way. When I know I'm on the Oregon Artist Series Foundation board, which works with the convention center on works of art there, anything that requires floor space there is also not an option because that building, it responds to client needs. The configuration of the space changes all the time. And there just isn't floor space that it could accommodate something of this scale. On what makes this donation kind of more challenging, let's say for the city, is there is no storage space. That were this to be accepted as a gift, where would it go? I think there are also already issues with the piece mosaic that is in storage, that storage is not going to continue on forever, the availability of that storage. And I think we're also, we're dealing with new work coming to the Civic Center. And here we are, we're a group of today 5 people as a commission. We have new work being selected for the Civic Center. We have the uncertain future of the Echo Earth Globe that is also on our agenda today. We have the reciting of the Salem Peace Mosaic, which nothing is simple regarding that. And we have the unfinished and open issue of the sculpture wells, 2 of which are downtown and ready to go, and 1 is in West Salem, also the site ready to go. And now we have, someone would like to gift us with a large piece of sculpture. And maybe we can just do a little conversation. My sense is the city does not have the capacity to take on a giant piece of sculpture with no location and no storage. And yeah, that's my opinion.
Can we hear from the city about if there is storage available?
Not that I'm aware of. It's been challenging to find storage for the pieces that we have recently had to store. So in all those conversations that I've had, nothing has came up that, oh yeah, this would be an easy thing. It's always been really difficult and not ideal, but the storage that we're using isn't art storage. It's not made to be storing art. We're trying to piecemeal it together. So,
Okay.
from what I know, no, there's no storage available. And just
I mean,
to, there's a good write-up of information on the agenda, but just keep in mind, so current storage fees are $150 a month for this piece. And they did give the option of whoever takes it on could just take over those payments for storage.
It's a lot.
Krista,
yeah, I mean, I think it's a really unique piece. We don't have anything like it in the collection currently. We don't have anything by the artist either. But yeah, I think just with our current logistical capacity and the reality of it, I don't necessarily think it makes sense at the present time, unless we really had somewhere where we were able to place it immediately, but it doesn't sound like that's the case.
are people ready to make a decision on this? I can call for a motion that would either keep this in play. I mean, keeping in mind that the donor of this, who I don't know who actually, whether this Zach is acting on behalf of another party or just the artist, but this would have to be acted on like in a month if it's gonna happen. And again, I just want to be perfectly clear. I don't see that the city has the capacity to accept this donation. That's my own personal opinion. It's 21 feet long, folks.
That's a very.
Yeah, this is in,
Yeah.
it looks like this is in the Portland Art Museum. Like I know that gallery and it's substantial.
Right, and you are correct. That is the upstairs space at the Portland Art Museum.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're kind of at the end of the time we have allotted for this. Would anyone like to make a motion to defer just graciously acknowledge the offer of this piece, but decline it, or something else?
I'll make a motion to defer.
Defer making a decision or decline the donation?
Decline the donation. Yeah.
I'll second that. Any more discussion? All right, all those in favor, I see you shaking your head, Spencer.
Oh, no. I'm in agreement with you guys. Yeah.
All right, just checking. All right, all those in favor of the motion to decline the offer of the donation of the sculpture reconstitution, raise your hand or signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Thank you. These are complicated kinds of things. Let's go to our next agenda item, which is.
It will be the Eco Earth Grove.
All right. Would you like to tee this up, Kathleen?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just read here from the agenda, the updates. Art Solutions Lab has confirmed their ability to complete an assessment and provide a repair and restoration estimate and report, which will act as a second opinion to the recent report completed by ARG. Art Solutions Lab will be completing their first site visit in late November, early December, and it is expected to have the report complete in February. As to the preservation and maintenance of the Eco Earth Globe in its current condition, ARG, which is the first group we worked with to get the first assessment, Could not guarantee that cleaning it would prevent further deterioration, but thought it was worth considering as it improves the aesthetics and would have positive benefits. The representative at ARG was concerned that cleaning would introduce more water, but had personal experience with seeing removal of bio-growth moss, slow deterioration of art. ARG suggested that cleaning be done by hand using a soft bristle brush and non-ionic cleaning agent containing no solvents, abrasives, acids, caustics, or other materials. For areas with biogrowth, a biocide cleaner like D2 or others could be used. ARG is currently assessing their ability to complete the possible cleaning. Art Solutions Lab has also been asked for their recommendations for maintenance, cleaning, and preservation, and are expected to outline their suggestion after completing their assessment. Those are the updates.
Thank you. This is helpful. I'm glad that the second opinion is actually gonna move forward. I actually visited the Echo Earth Globe yesterday. The deterioration is even more vivid up close than it was in the photographs that we saw at our last meeting. Yesterday was a holiday. The park was filled with people, all ages, all kinds, people on bikes, people running, people jumping around, kids, people walking around the Echo Earth Globe. And the park just looked fabulous. Really, it was green and the plant material is growing and it really looked good. The ball looks really bad. I took some photographs. I'll send them to you. There are more tiles that are dropping and they're on the ground and they're broken and some of them are whole. The sign, the two signs that are there, one that the city produced and one for the Parks Foundation. The city sign is now broken and but people kept walking around it with their kids. It's great. So I guess, is this information for us today? We're waiting to hear back from ARG, or do we need to give them a go ahead?
Just information. ARG needs to get back to us on whether they can even complete the cleaning, because it would be a number of different contractors that they work with, and it's going to be several of them that they would bring in to do this cleaning project. So they have to get all their ducks in the row to make sure that all the contractors that they would bring in for this project are available and interested in coming and actually performing the cleaning portion, the maintenance portion of this. And with that, the loose tiles, they did actually talk about loose tiles. They said we definitely want to be collecting those as they fall off. And while they're cleaning, if any of them are very loose, they would gently remove and pack those as well. They wouldn't go as far as like trying to remove the tiles that are semi-loose, because they would worry that would then loosen the one next to it and the one next to it. So there is some of that they talked about as well. So they're assessing their ability to complete the cleaning.
Comments from the commission?
If we were to go ahead with ARG for the cleaning, would those funds be coming out of what has already been collected, or would this need to be something separate?
It would be something separate. Salem Parks Foundation has been really clear that the funds that they have raised have just been for the repair, for the restoration of the Eco Earth Globe, not meaning not maintenance. So that it would be coming from a separate fund, whether that was the public art fund. There are very limited public works funds for this project, and they were really dedicated to, again, the repair and restoration. Now, is there maybe a little wiggle room that this is going to help the repair and restoration potentially? But I'm not the one who would say whether those funds would be appropriate. I suppose it could be looked into.
I do see this as a city responsibility, the cleaning. That's a city responsibility. Any idea when you might get that price back from ARG?
Yeah, they were hoping they would even get it to me potentially this week about the cleaning. So hopefully by the next meeting, you guys would have an estimate for what that cleaning would be and if ARG could complete it. Otherwise, we'd be really relying on Art Solutions Lab, who is coming really soon to get their initial assessment, whether their assessment for the cleaning and maintenance in its current condition will come at the same time as the report, potentially a little sooner. I can't say, but that's aiming for February.
Okay. There's quite a bit of moss growing. I mean, there's a lot of stuff growing on the surface and yeah, it's pretty, it's kind of heartbreaking. All right, so we're not gonna take action on anything today. All right, any final comments from the commission? Thank you for staying on top of this. And before we move on, Carol or Linda, would you like to say anything?
Well, we need to send out some kind of information to our donors because there's enough rumors going around. We wanted to, we've got a newsletter coming out at the end of this month. You could just put a little brief thing summarizing that it's being looked into and that the price has gone up considerably. And we could be back in touch with everybody. But we need to do that just because everybody's talking about it.
Sure.
And the other thing is you mentioned that a possibility of an open house. If this is like an open house like was done for the Peace Plaza thing, we invite certain stakeholders.
Oh,
The
absolutely.
same thing, okay,
Yeah.
because I've got a list of recommendations.
Oh, that would be
Perfect.
wonderful, thank you.
That's great. I think that it would be not that hard to provide, a 2-paragraph update based on the report that was given to the commission. I mean, it's no secret that there's further decline.
And an increase in cost.
An increase in cost, a second
We get a second
professional
bid.
has been brought in, where there's the issue of cleaning is being considered right now. And, donations are encouraged.
I don't know, we want to ask for more donations or not. I'm really hesitant to do that, because we don't know.
Okay, well, that's your decision.
Yeah.
We're getting more donations.
Yeah, we're getting more donations, including from people way out of state. I got 2 this week, one from Idaho, one from Washington.
And they see that QR code and they.
Well, that's great. That's wonderful. And I'm glad that people from far away are coming to our parks, Okay, well then, there's nothing that we can do apart from providing some content for the newsletter in the next couple of weeks. This is not an action item.
And I've done my best to encapsulate an update to the this project. You can actually see a pretty good overview on most agendas and minutes, but on the ongoing projects attachment that I put with the agenda, there's a really nice overview of where we're at with the entire project. It's pretty long, so I can do my best to reduce that for you and get you key information. Otherwise, it's a lot of the key information is there. So I can wrap this all together in an email and ask specifically what you guys are looking for and if.
Carol, you want,
I did, yeah,
well. And if you do write it, I will probably put your byline on it. So people know it comes from the city, if that's okay.
Well, we'll talk about it outside the meeting about what the best way to do it and get people the information that they need and what you guys think is best.
Okay, I'd
you
like
can
to
give us the information, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd like us to go to the printer,
Yeah.
before too many meetings go by.
Yeah, yes, I'll email us all and I'll include you as well, Jennifer.
Great.
Yeah.
All right, I think that we are okay to go back to published agenda B and go back to number 1 regarding a potential code change regarding artist retention of copyright.
Thank you all so much.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Yes,
Thanks for
Thank
coming.
you.
And before we get started with this conversation, I'm actually going to hand it over to Gretchen. We've been having conversations, we've looked over what you gave us. Thank you so much, Brian. Incredible work that you've done. We've all been very impressed with what you put together, so thank you.
Thanks.
So thank you for putting that together, and Gretchen had some thoughts that she would like to share.
Thank you. I appreciate you all letting me just come and jump in these conversations. And Brian, seriously, just like Kathleen said, there's a lot of work here and super grateful for it. I love getting to read the public comments, the real life examples that the city had requested. It's like,
Yeah.
how does this play? And getting some other city examples was really helpful. And also, most of all, understanding, and I think the work kind of that you're having today helps us understand what is SPAC's perspective on this issue. I just wanted to flag, I got a bit pinched up about the timeline and wanted
Sure.
to flag the, I think to be council ready.
Yeah.
We have to have a good understanding at the staff level about how it would operationalize. And I need to understand in more detail the implementation materials and what the staff's role is gonna be in implementing them. I need Mark and the attorney's office to make sure we're comfortable with switching to a license and what the details on the license would be, and how I was curious how we triage different parts of the collection, if this applies to all things moving forward or just certain parts of the collection. So I wanna make sure we have a good understanding of all that, because that'll be a council expectation. So I just wanted to flag some additional questions as we jump into it. And would need some time to consider that. So I don't know, the council agenda gets accelerated in December. And so I just wanted to flag that. But thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for the work and for letting me comment as we
Yeah.
jump in.
Great, so, Brian, I think, I would hope that all of the commissioners, review the agenda and the attachments beforehand. But I think it would be helpful for us to just go over your proposed motion, and you can break it down into its parts and talk a little bit about each one of them mean. And this body comes together to have discussion, so feedback from the other commissioners' thoughts on the points that Brian has brought forward, and then we're lucky to have a lot of city staff here today who can take your conversation into consideration for when they're learning more about it.
I just want to remind the commission that if you make the motion today and it's seconded, then some action needs to occur on it. Alternatively, the commission can have discussion and elect not to make a formal motion, proceed on it as well, which I believe is what staff is, as you have the conversation so that staff fully understands. I've gone back, I'm familiar with this conversation, I think Gretchen is as well, and what it is that the commission is seeking, but additional conversation would be helpful. But I think we're asking for a little bit of time to now take this motion that you've crafted and whatever comes out of the further conversation to look at how that would impact the work of the city, make sure that we fully vetted it and come back and give some additional input, and go from there. So
Great.
as opposed to proceeding with the motion today.
Sure,
So
sure. Yeah, thank you very much for that. Yeah, and yeah, I don't even know where to start. Sorry, still trying to learn all of this. And so I think that when I put the time thing in, because I think where it basically says, to have the council put this forward before the end of the year. And obviously, I know that that's not always possible because priorities shift and things like that. I think my main concern was that I didn't want to just have it get lost
Yeah.
into the void. Which, no one ever does on purpose, it just, things happen. So, and I also didn't know the exact procedure, like if this gets to council. And then council, we're kind of making a recommendation, I believe, is kind of what SPAC can do, is make a recommendation to council and then. I think it's my understanding that council would ask staff to start working on it. But maybe that's not right, and Mark, maybe you can help me with that, because I just wanted to get it started. Get that work started in these bigger conversations, but maybe that's already happening, which is even better.
If it's something that we're not even sure that council would want staff to invest time in, then we might say start. But there's been enough community discussion with SPAC and discussion with the commission, with staff, that at this point, developing fully the recommendation here, and bringing it to council with, here's a recommendation, the commission has, staff has looked at it, staff is in support of it, or here are the changes that staff would recommend, so it goes to council as a largely developed recommendation. In this circumstance would probably be the best way to go.
Okay.
And if the concern is that you didn't want to language, staff is aware of it.
Yeah.
We've been working on it as well. So we understand what the commission is trying to achieve. I do think one of the questions becomes, we have so many different types of art in our collection, and I know that one of the things that's been looked at is mural programs, but that's just one aspect, right? I mean, we even looked at a 20-foot wooden, so how different things would work, and the administrative burdens on city staff as far as if we move to a model where there was going to be different relationships with artists and who is retaining what rights, who has what licenses. There is some administrative work that would be on the city to make sure that we can track with each individual piece of art. I don't even know what the current total of artwork in our public art collection is, but we're gonna have a different legal relationship with each piece of art in our collection. You've got to track that as the work of the commission is done. And so if we have a piece of art that's within the copyright period that we want to do things with, do we have the right to do that, including if we want to remove it from our collection and things like that. So I'm not saying that this isn't a wonderful idea. I'm just saying that we need, those are the things that we need to take a look at as well, and come to back to this board and just say, here's where we see this working, here's where we have some problems or concerns, if at any, and to come and have a conversation. I think this is the place to do that, and then we can bring that information to the council as a whole, because they'll have questions about, has it been talked about with staff, things like that. We can have that, and then if they still have additional questions, they can always, from their level, refer it out to the staff. It was a really long answer. Did I answer your question?
I think so. Yeah, no, I think so. And in some of my, where's the recommended policy elements, some of it is in there too, because I did try to keep it as, even though the artist is retaining copyright, that the city, I think I spelled out some stuff to make sure that they keep, you know, they can decommission, we can decommission it, we can
Yeah.
move it, all of those things, cause I think what I really did try to take a lot of time was to give artists rights, but keep everything safe, keep those guardrails up for the city,
Yeah.
you know, and even, I think one line I have in there is even future works of art, you know, essentially meaning like technology that hasn't been discovered,
Right,
you know?
right.
Things like that, so we kind of cover it, hopefully, for the future as well, future-proof it. So yeah, the summary of policy elements, recommended policy elements have a lot of that, and if we need to add more or discuss more, happy to do that as well.
For commissioners who are familiar with copyright of artwork, or even currently maybe, if you are an artist and you have a piece of artwork, let's say it's a painting, so something portable, something we can all relate to, and you retain that copyright, we as the city own the painting and we own the license, and we wanna de-accession it. And so essentially, there's a chance that painting could actually be destroyed at that point. What does that mean to the copyright?
Oh, would essentially be moved, I mean, it remains with the artist.
Even though the physical art
But
doesn't.
it would be, I mean, maybe someone had some documentation of it.
Yeah, the design itself, I think if
Yeah.
they still have the copyright, they could reproduce it.
Yeah, so like if
in a
someone
different
was,
way.
if someone was destroyed and someone was to create a piece of art that looked exactly like
Yeah.
that, then the artist would have,
The copyright. Okay.
yeah, would have a way to be like, no, I created art like that, even if it was destroyed. So it is kind of that, like, I think about how we take pictures of art or we're using it just that for promotional purposes or even informational. It's out there like, oh, this is in our collection, here's a
Yeah.
digital. There's always a footprint with that digital image that this is where it came from, or a print image that this is where it came from, even once it's destroyed.
Okay.
That, yeah, it's still has a connection.
Yeah, cause I'm almost wondering if the city had the copyright and it got destroyed, if that means the artist can't even redo it somewhere. You know, it would be kind of heartbreaking if they, you know,
Yeah.
they've like lost their work completely
Mhm.
in multiple different ways and can't reproduce it. So, but yeah, that's a good question because I was thinking more of like other things, like just moving it or, you know, the civic center is being remodeled, you know. That would give us the non-exclusive, giving the city non-exclusive. And there's a bunch of other
Mhm,
words in there,
mhm,
they give us protection to move it, to relocate it, certainly to put it in any literature, you know, brochures, programs and things like that, you know, the city can do all of those things and keep everything that they can do essentially with art now. You know, I definitely don't wanna complicate those matters in any way.
So I have a question, just a practical one for today. So this is coming forward, assuming that you would make this motion today to SPAC. It would be seconded, it would be voted on today. Then it would, should it pass, then it would go to the city who would determine the right time for it to be calendared for consideration by city council. And that could be, I think that might take several months. Like this wouldn't happen before the end of the year. Let's just be clear about that. So, and then it would be probably come back to SPAC to talk about, okay, here we are, who's gonna manage it, what kind of policies and procedures might need to be adopted to govern how this whole thing comes together. And we are not talking about a gigantic universe of, you know, things. I outlined some projects that are kind of on tap for the coming year. It's fewer than 10. You know, and there might be multiple things at the Civic Center, but I know how long it can take to pull things together and get the right approvals and then be ready to implement something. There is no downside for SPAC to have this motion passed today. Am I correct about that?
I'm gonna suggest an alternative. The SPAC motion would move this from SPAC to city council, asking them to direct staff to implement a specific structure of how we are going to handle licensing and copyrights, our relationship with artists. And what I'm saying and staff is saying is we hear the proposal you're putting forward. So if you make the motion, then SPAC will be going to council. If it passes the motion, will be then the next going to council and asking council to direct staff to implement specific policies regarding the legal relationship with the artwork, and then that dialogue will be happening back and forth before with council. Alternatively, staff is aware of what the commission is asking for, or considering, and staff is asking for an opportunity to do that work now, so we can have a fully developed proposal to take to council for council to implement. So if you move forward with the motion, the commission certainly can. I'm sorry that I'm not trying to ignore you on that are appearing virtually. If SPAC does the motion today and it passes, then the next step is this goes directly to council for council to consider and direct staff. Staff having this outline is requesting the opportunity to see how that would look and continue to have this conversation with SPAC to see if anything needs to be altered, changed, have all of the things together that would need to be done, their code, and then come back and have that conversation and put together whatever motion it is you want to take forward to council at that point.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
yes, I totally get it. Because it seems like kind of front loading this with and doing the homework in advance of taking it to a higher body, just it just makes sense. So we could have this information, and thank you for all the work on it. And then start that conversation with all of you regarding, okay, you know, what would it really take to make this work, so that we would have those answers before going to a public meeting with council to when they really come up.
And how these changes would affect the work of the city positively and potentially any burdens it would have. And you know, I just witnessed that wonderful conversation regarding that donation piece, and the commission is always taking into account those things. So if that makes sense.
Yeah, so what's the next steps then? I mean, essentially you guys are aware, will you just kind of like, you know, give us a feedback, maybe the next meeting, maybe, and then, you know, like, here's what we like, what works, maybe can we tweak this, or
Sure.
I just wanna know how that process, what it looks like going forward.
So I've had an opportunity to have some conversations with Gretchen. I think that we're looking at the beginning part of next year. January may be a little ambitious, but
Yeah.
February, I think, because of the holidays, gives us an opportunity to look at this, or at least to let the commission know where you're at, so that where we're at, so we can see it. Like I said, a couple things that I legally want to look at is, if anything in the process, this change of relationship with the art, what legal and administrative additional barriers that it might create for the city as it handles its art, and balancing that against the desire to have artists that want to increase their work with a city that our current relationship might have. So, and then working with other staff to see that and just bring it forward and say, here's what we're seeing. You know, Spat, give us some guidance on where you think that right balance is, if we need to change anything from this recommendation at all. So I'm thinking February, at least as a check-in to let know, only because of holidays. In parts, because everyone's schedules are different. If not February, shortly thereafter, and then we can keep this conversation.
Is there anything that we or I could do in the meantime? That, I mean, it's kind of now the ball's in your court, I guess, so to speak, but I'm willing to do other work on this if that helps in any way, or maybe I'm just need to hang tight.
The only question, and I'm sorry, Grace, the only question that I had was, was it your intention to have this relationship be the relationship with murals or all art within the collection moving forward?
My recommendation is that it's for all art going forward.
And it actually is very unusual in a fine art situation that anyone other than the creating artist would hold the copyright. Like that's the industry's, no artist would ever unless it was a work for hire, which a mural could be, but may not be. Would give that copyright away. Just doesn't happen. And there are many more examples that we could provide that would substantiate that. You know, I'm trying to think of, we know, just a little parenthetical thing, we would really like to create an environment in Salem where we could have a more robust mural program. And for the last few murals that have been approved, everybody's come in the back door. We would like to avoid that and create a process where we have a welcoming situation where property owners know that there's a mural program and they are engaging artists who are active in art and part of our community. And we haven't had that lately. And this is one for artists in the know. This copyright issue is a barrier for them because they don't want to give their work away. It's their intellectual property. So this is not like a life or death situation today, but we would like, because we've had a team of people, Brian's the head of it, working on this thoughtfully. So we just want to keep it moving. February sounds fine to me, because I really would like for the city to have an active voice saying, we want this to happen here. You don't have to get into the nitty-gritty, but we want to remove as many barriers as we can. So.
Just a follow-up question. You made the comment, work for hire, and can you educate us a little further on when you say a work for hire, what is that? Because it is the artwork right outside of this building was stuff that we put a request for proposal on and commissioned that work specifically being done for these locations as opposed to being a donation or a gift to the city.
And maybe I could have been more specific. I'm thinking about, you know, your gym floor situation where someone is painting a mascot that is portrayed in a certain way, in a certain color, wearing a certain type of uniform, that type of thing. More of a sign type commercial situation. But you're right, because that was created on a commission basis.
Or maybe like window paintings that you see at stores where you're like, I want Charlie Brown playing in the snow for Christmas.
Right.
That sort of thing.
Well, probably Disney.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm mindful of the time, and so Any further comments from commissioners? And then Brian, you could defer making your motion today and say that, acknowledge that we will
Kind of waiting.
wait to hear back from the city, by early 2026 regarding the topics that we talked about today.
And I'd like to thank you, Brian, for your willingness to do, if we discover a research question, it sounds like I
Yeah,
can talk with you. and
absolutely,
explain
yeah, I
it.
was just gonna add that, yeah, if there's anything, I know that, some things have to be in public meeting and things like that, but
Right.
if there's anything else that I can do
Thank you.
in between that would help, even if it's coming to the next meeting, well, hey, we've got these two things, can you kind of look into that, where this is where we're struggling or,
Thank you.
connecting the dots, things like that, I'm happy to help in any way. I wanna follow all the rules, of course, but also get it,
Yeah.
keep it moving along as much as I can do to help.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, that's right.
Yeah, thanks for all your help, and Mark, thank you very much for everything.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
All right, next on our agenda is the situation of art labeling for a variety of works in the collection. And the biggest thing that we've got just in terms of labor is updating the over 40 works of art, I think I've got the number right, that were recently donated by the Salem Library Foundation to the City of Salem Public Art Collection. So, a little bit of background, when the works were reinstalled at the library, a graphic designer who was recommended by Hacker Architects put together a label format, a font, a size, mounting process. And what we're talking about for this donation is adding a line to the existing label that would read donated by Salem Public Library Foundation to the City of Salem Public Art Collection, April 1, issue 2025. And so I guess the question, let's just talk about this one first. The question is, who's actually going to handle the work? Pull up all the label copies saved, pull up the various works for that donation, add the update for that donation and the date. I think Susan Napak volunteered to do that. So is this just information that she will?
We need to have the commission agree on the suggested wording, the donated by Salem Public Library Foundation to City of Salem Public Art Collection, April 1, 2025. If the commission could agree on that language or suggest modifications, then yes, Chair Napak, as she is a graphic designer and professional experience doing this, she has volunteered to add that. She, as recent as this morning, said that she's able to pull up all the files and she could complete that work. If for some reason she is unable to complete that work and we need to go out to have it contracted, then we would explore that and we would need the commission to agree to spend the funds to do so. But at this moment, Susan is pretty confident that she's going to be able to complete that work for us. So that is a great help. So what we need from the commission today is to agree on the language suggested in the agenda.
And do I have a motion to approve that draft language that's outlined in the agenda with the corrected date?
So it's the one that's in the quote there,
Yep.
donated by Salem Public Library.
I'll make a motion to approve the language.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion on the proposed language? All those in favor of adding that language donated by the Salem Public Library, it's in the agenda, indicate by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Did we lose Carl? Looks like we may have.
Still have 4, so we're good.
All right, that motion to approve that language carries. Let's go to the next issue of the label update for the exterior work of art. Do you want to talk about this, Kathleen?
Yes, so there's a number of works of art that need the labels replaced. We've provided examples in several different meetings of what they look like, the damage that's there. The agenda includes suggestions, we have two suggestions, both are very similar for the format and layout. The material that was suggested by both Rick Yerk and Lee Eminem was stainless steel etched. Susan has reached out to a local steel company who said that they could make it. It doesn't seem like it's their go-to to make this sort of sign, but that they could make it. They also made the suggestion of doing powder coating instead of painting in the etching, which I will say, that I have seen that paint definitely wear away. We want these signs to be there for decades, and that's the problem. That's why we're needing to replace it, is that a lot of these, some of them may be aluminum, which doesn't last as long as stainless, which could be the problem, but a lot of these metal signs, you can't read them at all. They've just simply worn away, and it's probably, it hasn't been as long as we would have liked them to last. So we want them to last for a long time. Susan reached out to a local steel company. I also have been asking park staff they do a lot of signage, whether it's on benches or for plants, who they use. I do have a couple other options that could be used for this. One is actually the Oregon Correction Institute, that they have a sign shop there. And so a lot of the signs that we do is actually through them, and they would be one potential that we could go with. So this specific font and specific layout, you can get into a lot of detail there. The commission could also say, find a vendor, do the font and the spacing that they say. If you guys have a specific font that you wanted to get into, you could do that as well. Rick also, in the agenda, you'll see that he made a lot of suggestions for the typeface and all of that.
I think it would be good, I think you're making progress on this. I think it would be good to get a sample from the local company that Susan reached out to, the steel company. And I think it would be good to get a sample from the Oregon, is it Oregon Corrections Enterprises?
Mhm, yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, so they did a lot of work in the Capitol. They have a lot of capacity, so again, we should request a sample from those potential vendors. And then come up with a format. The format that Rick Yerk of BAM agency provided that's in the agenda is the format that was used at the convention center that literally got sandblasted off by the elements. You know, they just the winter here is rough on everything. So yeah, I would also, just because I do wander around looking at some of these things, add a little bit more information about like the date of when something was gifted, by whom. And otherwise, you know, I think that the material, the date it was made, the artist, some of the people, you know, these could be tweaked a little bit, but I think moving this forward, I would suggest requesting a material sample from these various vendors. What about other commissioners? Any comments?
Yeah, I think always great to go local. So if there are local vendors that that work or that we've already had previous relationships, I think that's great. Yeah, I think these, you know, the one that you're showing us, Kathleen, I like this one. Chris, I agree. If we do have specifics in terms of when they were donated, it's always great to have that information in there. But yeah, I think it looks clean. It looks nice. And it has the essential info in there.
I agree with Krista.
I personally like this design as well, a little bit more than the one below it. But that's just my preference.
Agreed.
Note that the heading is not part of the label.
Other comments?
I agree with Krista.
Okay, do we have enough information for you, Kathleen, to proceed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll get some samples.
The next item is identifying missing labels, or pieces that are missing labels. Is this something that,
We don't need action today, it's just to keep it on, that is part of this whole art label conversation that we've had and will be a considerable part of it, is that we actually need to find what pieces are missing labels, because there are some in our collection that don't have a label at all, both indoor and I believe outdoor. So just something to keep in mind.
okay, are we okay to move to the next agenda item then?
Yeah.
All right, moving into condition reports. Krista and Kathleen, do you wanna start this off?
Sure. Yeah, so this is just kind of a continuation of the kind of database conversation that we've been having over the last few months. And so I volunteered to look into how many of the artworks in our database currently have an inventory form and a condition report. And so went through all of them. Currently 13 of the 160 works have that form. So not a lot. So definitely important and good to know how few there really are. I will also note even the ones that have it, they are not all very updated, and there aren't many notes also taken about these specific conditions. So I am happy to share one of those. Let me see if I can share.
It can be hard on Zoom. It's a little, typically a little green arrow at the bottom.
Okay, let's see if this works.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so this is the Public Art Commission art inventory form that has been used in the past. So you'll see, you know, basic information on here: object name, title, date it was created, under the description, you know, type of artwork, medium, dimensions, if it's signed, and then there is a section on overall condition. As we know though, like for example, this one, the cube, we know there are some condition issues, so I don't actually know when this was done. It also then has information about the location, and then any notes in this as well, and then finishes with the source and donor at the bottom, and if there is any appraisal information. So, I mean, I think this is a good base standard form to use. At the same time, I would suggest a specific condition report form that gets attached to this anytime a condition report is actually done. And that can be just, again, a super simple form where essentially you have a picture of the artwork, and when anything is noted in terms of the condition, it's actually documented directly on that form, and that could be done every time that artwork is reported on. So yeah, only 13 of all the artworks in the collection currently have this. I know also we just recently acquired a number from the Library Foundation. So it's not to say that we're kind of starting from scratch, but there definitely is a lot of updating that we need to do in that regard. And then Kathleen and I also looked at the GIS database. So we kind of went through the back end to see what the functionalities were of that, if that's something where we could easily add this kind of information, if we could upload documents to be able to kind of consistently see and track artworks, the location, the condition. And Kathleen, you can share your insights as well, but it was kind of confirmed to me that even though there is a lot of information on that system, it does not currently function adequately in a way to actually maintain a public art collection, in my opinion. So I would recommend looking into an actual collections management database system so that all of that information can be tracked regularly and consistently and can all be accessed in a singular place.
Yeah, the only update I have beyond that is, so the program that we use is called CityWorks to do a lot of this. And I, you know, seeing the same and seeing how difficult it was, But knowing that some of our park staff use CityWorks, I went and I talked to some of our park staff who use it for a number of different applications. And they had some really great insights for how they use it. And one of them is that CityWorks typically has like add-on applications. And the way that they found some of these add-ons was actually just by Googling, like, hey, I want to use CityWorks for this specific thing, because most cities a lot of cities anyways, use this software for management of different things throughout the city. And so, for instance, they're using it for gravestones at Pioneer Cemetery, which is kind of similar, because each gravestone has a history and articles and all of these things and maintenance that goes with it. So CityWorks just happened to have add-on software for that type of thing, for managing cemeteries. So their suggestion was Google around, see if there's potentially add-ons for artwork management that the CityWorks software can do. So I did Google it around a bit, and it looks like other cities have used CityWorks for managing their art. And there are potential add-ons. So I reached back out to IT so they can reach out to the CityWorks folks to say, hey, what cities are using this currently to manage their art, because it really looks like it is being used, and how are they using it, and does it have add-ons that makes it a little more user-friendly than what we're seeing? Because what we're seeing is it's not so easy to use for what we need it to do, but my hopes are that there's actually a way to make it work, and that it is actually being used for this currently by other cities. So once IT gets back to me, I'll let you guys know.
Great, could we just agree that we will put this on the agenda again in December, and hopefully we'll have that information. And yeah, and thank you for looking at the condition report situation. I was at the Civic Center and saw the condition of the mural that's in the Peace Plaza. And so I think that should actually get a condition report. We should look at that closely and get a condition report done. Anyway, I was looking forward to this conversation. I'd like to move on to the subcommittee reports, because we have just 20 minutes left and we've got two important things to cover. So maybe I'll just launch the conversation, and Carl, we lost you again. I'll just report that Susan and Carl and I met with Aaron Kimsey and one of the representatives of Howard is Right to go back and look at some potential sites for artwork that could be commissioned for the Civic Center as a result of the 0.5% for art. And we spent about an hour together revisiting a couple of the sites that are in or adjacent to the big atrium space. We entered the facility from the Peace Plaza side as we came from the south, moving north into the building. A couple of spaces are the staircases that go up to the from the middle floor to the higher floor, that could be sites for wall painted work that would bring some large blocks of color to the building. We looked at another wall space that is on the west side of the building. On one floor, there might have been some restrooms. People know where that area is or was. So if you were at the east end of the building looking west, there's a big wall. That could be another site for a wall painted work. It could be something could be, the pieces could relate to each other or not. We again were reminded by the project management work that there is bird and pigeon and there are roosting issues in that atrium, so it's probably not practical to think about a large piece that would be suspended into that atrium space. Because there are some real realities. We also talked about the placing of one or more sculptures that would be freestanding, possibly located in the existing, say, wells or pedestals that are on the ground floor, the main floor of the atrium. The budget might not allow for, we'd have to look at that to see whether the budget, which is estimated to be at about $140,000, would allow for that. Let's go to that image that Susan sent. We never discussed any type of work, so I want to make that perfectly clear. But you can see, you scroll down a little bit where the blue one is. And this thing is floating in front of one of those pedestals, which is not what would potentially happen. Let's go, she has another image.
Yeah, and so Susan did the work of, being a graphic designer, she put together some of these images of just ideas she had from being in this space.
Let's go to the next one. Right, here is an example of one of those existing pedestals. Those benches around the exterior of that can be removed. We never discussed a steampunk approach, so this is just for kind of filling the space and showing the location.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah.
And then here are two more examples of how some of those concrete walls might be used. Susan has an interest in the peace mosaic. We did not really discuss the relocation of the peace mosaic into the atrium of the civic center. A few takeaways, and I have to say Erin Kinsey and the fellow from Howard S. Wright were we had a really positive and good conversation. A few of the things that came up were that there may be structural load issues with the placement of the sculptures in that atrium area. And of course, the fellow from Howard S. Wright knew what the load was. I didn't happen to catch that number to put in my notes. Erin reminded us that, and they both reminded us that this project is well underway. It's moving, demolition is happening. When I drove south on Commercial, I could see that they had taken out a whole part of the wall. So Erin suggests that we start to really hone in on who will be making decisions. So is the city manager's and mayor's office that team of people? Will that team have someone on the art selection committee? Who will represent staff? 3 of us have been functioning as a subcommittee. Hacker architects would be part of that conversation. The fellow from Howard S. Wright said that the woman who was with us on our previous walkthrough would also like to participate. But anyway, just thinking about finalizing kind of a vision and locations would be important. That will go into the city's system of reviewing things, or it would come back to staff to hopefully sign off on. Then it would go over to the city so that Public Works could make sure that whatever needs to be built into the RFP, RFQ would happen, then it would go get reviewed. And all the while, this project is moving, so we need to begin to focus on that quickly, like hopefully maybe bring something back to SPAC by next month. And then he did mention that while the city manager's, mayor's suite of offices will be used for that purpose in the foreseeable future, might not be that way forever. He also confirmed that this is not going to be an open door, this civic center. People will enter through customer service area, be checked in, escorted. We did also talk about whether there should be some work of art in there or not. We didn't resolve anything. And then we noted that there will be a shear wall in that customer service center where there's currently a window. And there could be something outside if you're coming into that complex where the traffic light is, there is and you're driving west, there is a small landscaped area that could be the site for a sculpture. I think it's really, personally, I think this is a once in 50-year opportunity to be doing something significant with art at the Civic Center. So Susan's not here with us, and it looks like we lost Carl. But at comments from the other two people here.
And Susan did, I have it pulled up here, since you couldn't make it, she did send me some comments of her thoughts on after visiting the site,
Could you zoom in on that a little bit? Is
Yeah.
that doable?
yes.
Perfect, that's great.
Yes, so consider the scale and presence of the Civic Center structure as an artwork in itself. Small, light, freestanding works could easily get swallowed up in the space. Activate the space in a big way through color or movement. Murals, either painted or mosaic, that integrate with the architecture without overpowering it. Kinetic sculptures that create movement. See varied opinions on this Reddit stream, which says how they massacred my something, they painted over. I'm guessing this has to do, and it's under brutalism subreddit, I'm guessing brutalism as a form of architecture is very specific. It's meant to feel that presence of large concrete. And it's not necessarily supposed to be colorful and warm. So there's art in the building itself. So you know, there's an argument, I'm sure is what she's saying, to say to leave it the way it is and not have something contrasted or try to brighten it up, but to bring more focus to the way the architecture is supposed to be. Inhabit spaces that will have the most eyeballs near at an entrance visible from as many vantage points as possible throughout the building in traveled areas. Respect to the brutalist architecture while enhancing the experience of visiting and working throughout the building. 2D ceramic or mosaic reliefs embedded in walls throughout the building. Sections of the piece mosaic or similar could be considered if previously committed to the carousel site is canceled or drastically stalled. Reflect a positive experience of civic engagement. Preferred sites in no order. You can see examples, interior entrance from Peace Plaza, elevator stairwell, wells and walls. Central platform at the bottom of the atrium, twin atrium walls throughout center on key walls. Her note here is I understand that this project is focused on acquiring art within the Civic Center structure. However, from what I've gathered, Peace Plaza is not outside the scope of utilizing the funds generated from the renovation of the campus. In my opinion, activating the Peace Plaza through the city-funded public art to transform it into a vibrant community space could be considered as well. And then she provides the images.
And I should note that both Susan and I have attended the first 2 of 3 public conversations about improvements to the Peace Plaza. So CB2 and I think it's Groundworks, the landscape architects, have been actively seeking comment from the public and listening and bringing design revisions back. But that will be a separate project.
And I'll point back to, again, I believe, from what I've heard from project managers, they're looking for specs, help, first and foremost with reducing the possible locations for art. They would like to provide guidance 2 or 3 is what I've heard. 2 or 3 areas that they would like prioritized for the siting of art, so they can narrow down what they're actually going to put in the RFP.
And again, I think it would be really, I think it would just be important to determine who will be part of this art selection process so that it's not a small number of art people. The conversation needs to get to the point where the people who are gonna be making the decisions about the actual artwork are gonna be part of that narrowing down the spaces.
Yeah, and I think, Mark, we might need to research this, but when we were working on an RFP previously, do you happen to remember, for some reason it's coming to me that, when there is actually a committee put together to review the applications that come in, only 2 members of SPAC should sit in on one? Do you not remembering that? Okay, so we'll wanna look at I think it might be written somewhere in our policies about how many, and of course, we can't have more than quorum sitting in on that review of the actual proposals that get sent in, but it might be limited to 2 and not even to allow 3 on there. So that's just something to keep in mind as well. It's the number of commissioners who can actually be part of the reviewing of those.
I think you wanna look at that really closely. I don't know, I was involved in the library and the police station, and I do think there were 3 people from SPAC. On the police station, there were people from the police, the architect. That was probably it for that one. Same with the library had the library foundation, SPAC, Friends, I think, or the library board, the librarian. If this is about public art, you have to have people from the public. Anyway. Okay, again, I'm mindful about the time. So this is not, we're not taking action, but probably our subcommittee should meet before the December meeting and bring back some more recommendations, observations.
Yep, and then I would say at the next meeting, I would really recommend that the commission be ready to choose their top 2 locations for art. You can maybe provide a third as a backup, but that is what I've been told by project managers that they would really like direction on is where the art will be located. So if we could move in that direction, I think that would be helpful for them.
I think that's very doable.
And I'm hearing you talk about wanting to expand the group that makes that narrowing down decision, if I didn't misunderstand.
I think that would be super helpful. The reality of the building is that there aren't, outside of these big massive spaces and the city council chambers and the customer service office, there aren't a lot of spaces because this building is not going to be open it's going to be a work environment, So it doesn't lend itself compared to the library to buying a bunch of what would be called portable works of art and hanging them on a cubicle wall. So concentrating on the big spaces makes sense. We also talked about the changes coming to the council chambers so that the council will not have people sitting behind it. And I guess one of the walls behind the whoever's presiding at those meetings, the meeting is gonna have soundproofing. And then other people observe that when that space is used during the day, the view out the window over the park is very attractive. And so at one point, someone suggested maybe there could be custom blinds, which has been done in other public settings or something like that. And someone else said, it's a beautiful view of the landscape and the view towards downtown. It doesn't need to be, we don't need something to add to that.
And so Chris, are you saying that you would like more input from different whether it's city staff or people outside to narrow down the locations, or are you saying where you would like further input is for the actual committee that reviews once the RFP goes out. So then we build a committee that reviews those, and that's where you would want to make sure that the correct people are involved.
I think both, because what you want to do is make sure that there is the buy-in and the support for the project as outlined before you put out a document that for public bid. So that's why I think whether it's somebody on the city council, whether it's somebody from the city manager and mayor's office, I'm assuming that Aaron Kimsey would be on it. You know, he has good idea, you know, he's been an active contributor to our visits to the construction site. But you'd want to you want to have a team of people that is helping to achieve the results that you want for this. So I'd say in the planning as well as in the review of what comes in. It should be, people should board the train and be on the train until it gets to the final destination. That's my recommendation. But are we okay? I just wanna, now that we have 3 minutes left. And we're down to still a small quorum. What about the public mural agenda item? Brian and Spencer, were you gonna report on this?
Yeah, and I can just jump in real quickly that there's not much to be updated here. Just that city staff are still reviewing we pulled out the copyright. So all that's really left in here is the easement portion of what the subcommittee was working with. And staff are still reviewing that. And it's looking like there is some momentum with it. So I think pretty soon we'll be able to come back and we'll be able to have a robust conversation about what this could possibly look like in action for the easement.
Okay. I'm gonna suggest that people refer to the written
Yeah,
summary of
absolutely.
the ongoing projects. Kathleen's doing a good job of keeping that current. And with that,
Chris, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I have one quick item if I may, and it shouldn't be quick because it needs to respect the good work of Kathleen. I should have shared this at the beginning. I think I was taking assumption on time on the agenda. I wanted to let everybody know about a staffing update as well. Just that we're asking Kathleen to return to her work that she had done prior to coming into SPAC. And so we're gonna be shifting the liaison support that you have here. And I respect the need for continuity in that work. And I also wanna thank Kathleen so much for all of your hard work. It's, as I've been learning about SPAC, it's remarkable how many components go into this and your thoughtfulness, and thank you. But I wanted you to know Jen is gonna be your person moving forward with me at her side, looking for every way that I can to help her and you with carrying forward. And so I just wanted to share that. And I regret the quickness with which I'm sharing that because I want to make sure that we give you a good thank you for the hard work that you've done. But Kathleen's still with our team, just returning to other duties on the Parks and Rec component.
Plenty of work.
Plenty of work. I'm sorry to throw that out so quickly.
well, that's okay. I mean, I would like to state for the record that I appreciate everything that Kathleen has done. And especially as I watched the amazing amount of activity that was happening in our parks over in the summer quarter.
Yeah.
And yesterday when I was at Riverfront and saw the kiosk with all the posters of all of the events and activities. And then to add, if you've been here today, this public art, it's not like slap up a painting.
No. Not here.
Right. So Kathleen has been with us ably, and I wish, well, obviously I didn't have a clue, so I would have brought you something to celebrate, but rain check.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thanks, Kathleen.
I've been learning and you've helped a lot with all of that.
Well, thank you to all of you. I'm going to be sad not to get to spend this time with you and truly thank you for all that you've taught me and thank you for what you do for the city. What you do matters. You're making a tremendous impact to our city and truly keep it up because you're the ones who are making a difference and it's felt not only by me, but I see what you do for our entire city. So thank you so much for what you taught me personally. And then thank you for what you do for the city. And I'll miss being here and I will still be part of our community here in Salem. Now I just get to enjoy it on my personal time.
Yeah, it's a lot more enjoyable. And all you have to do is pick up a copy and press play and find out about it. I seriously, there, you know, despite what everyone worries about, good things happen, we have to celebrate them in Salem, so.
Yeah.
Now we'll put you on our invite list to stuff.
Okay, great.
You're a free agent.
Yes, exactly. Thank you guys again. I'll be missing you. I'll be missing our monthly meetups and all of the fun stuff, I'm sure. You guys will still be just as active. And I know you are in great hands. You're in great hands. So, yeah, keep it up. You guys are doing awesome things. I know it can feel like an uphill battle, but you guys are sprinting uphill. You guys are. You're doing a great job.
That is a great attribute of the arts community in any community. Like, take it on, get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's, you know, there's a lot to celebrate. So,
Yeah. So thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you for all your support over the last year.
and with that, at 1:03 PM, we will adjourn the meeting of the Salem Public Art Commission.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.